So in 2003, my mom died, and it was right at the beginning of my finals week for my junior year of high school. And this was unexpected, and nobody really knew how to handle it. And I'd never, obviously when your mom dies, when you're in high school, things are kind of dramatic. And I wasn't sure how to handle it. And so I went to school that week. And as I went to school, we did the school stuff, and at the same time as I was doing finals, I helped my family prepare for the funeral and the service afterwards. And this was a difficult thing for me because, obviously, it's hard when anybody in your life dies, no less your mom, and plus my mom and I and my family, we all had the issues that we all have. But I was surprised by a few things, and one of the things that surprised me was that my family, for the first time, was having me participate in the duties that came along with, I guess you could say, helping somebody pass along. And so, I tried in my own ways to do whatever I could, including like trying to come up with a good theme song, or not a good theme song, like coming up with a soundtrack for the wake and the memorial service. And this was at the time when everybody had tons of MP3s, and so I went through and I curated a bunch. And I think one of the reasons that they wanted me to do this is because of all of the kids, I was the closest to her, which is a difficult thing to think about now because she and I, towards the end, did not have the strongest relationship. But anyways, so I created the soundtrack for the memorial service, and I wrote her eulogy, and I went with my brother and sister and my dad to the funeral home to help make preparations, picking things like Guestbooks and Caskets. And mind you, I'm 16 at the time, and this was a very strange experience for a 16, maybe a 17-year-old to go through. But we did it. And I remember distinctly after the service, we all went and we said a few words, and I gave my mom's eulogy, and I remember the passage that I talked about, and I remember the general idea of what I was saying. The idea was, it is sad when people die, and it is okay to cry. It is very important to cry, but you can't just, you can't let their lives be for nothing. You can't just stop at crying. You have to keep going, and you have to keep living your life like you think they would want you to live their lives. And after the service, people came up to me and they were like, "Oh my God, Peter, when did you become this person that's in front of us? When did you grow up and become the kid who says these kinds of words?" And that was a shock. Like, the entire experience of, helping somebody move along was a huge shock to me. And, I remember even afterwards, my dad and I became close, even though we'd never been close while I was growing up. And I remember him talking to me about, what happens when he dies. And these were things that I hadn't thought about. But then I realized after he started talking about them, and after this whole experience with my mom's funeral, that I was all grown up. And not only was I grown up, but other people recognized me as a grown up. And that is a crazy thing to think about.